purchase your Don't Eat With Her, Don't Compete With Her, your guide to becoming a better version of yourself. In these pages, you'll find tips and tricks on how to fight, learn, apply, and gain value. Pick it up today. Today, Queen is the Port Laureate of Paterson, New Jersey. She has a business called WordSeed, and she also has a mentorship program called Her Best Self. So pay her with your applause. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, I want you to remain standing as we introduce the host, the founder of Eat With Her, Don't Compete With Her, my friend, my sister, my best friend, Miss Jazmine DeWees.
You guys have just tuned into another episode of Eat With Her, Don't Compete With Her. Take your seat, y'all. Making me nervous. All right, so we do have another seat up here, and because we start on time, she will come and she will join, and we will magically put her right in that seat. All right? Okay. So, of course, you guys, we're here today for another episode of Eat With Her, Don't Compete With Her. But let me introduce you to what it is, just in case you've been living under a rock and you didn't tune in before today. I know a few people that are here who have, so I appreciate y'all. I'm gonna call y'all by name, you know. So in 2018, I observed something that I was just like, why is there so much hidden competition, particularly amongst women? But is it enough for you to just observe the thing and do nothing about it, right? So myself and Patricia, the young lady who introduced me today, we said, we're going to start a podcast. And Patricia said, so what is a podcast? I said, we'll get to that point later. We'll make those understandings, those legitimacies later. And what we discovered was that a lot of the competition has a lot more to do with who they are rather than with who you are. Right. So that's why Eat, Don't Compete came about. So we've been in the game for 5 years now, and we really appreciate you guys coming to our very first show. We didn't do it before, but we did it now. So in the process of Eat, Don't Compete becoming more than just a show that I run my mouth and y'all happen to listen to, it also became a book. And this particular book, I was always going to write a book. Can I talk? Right. I was always going to write a book. But this particular book was a part of the brand. It was a part of the plan. It was a part of what was supposed to come next. And this book is called Eat With Her, Don't Compete With Her, Your Guide to Becoming a Better Version of Yourself. So can we talk about how you can become a better version of yourself today? Yeah. Okay. So this is not an interview, right? This is a conversation. So this is not the Oprah show. So y'all feeling it in your spirit. You give me a good one of those. An amen will do. A hallelujah, a waving of your hand. I'm good with it all. And I'm sure Queen here is good with it all too. Let us know that we up here doing something right. So it's a conversation. It's a conversation about how we can become a better version of ourselves. Not that we're gonna be perfect. My last episode was I'm not perfect, but I'm healing. It's about progression, not. I'm in the process, So before we attack this better version of ourselves, I want to converse a little bit about the worst part of ourselves, right? Because I want you to humanize Queen. Queen looks lovely today, right? Yeah. Right? She looks great. I'm up here with good makeup on, all right? So I can see. But in doing so, I want you to know that, I bleed too. Queen bleeds too. But she not bleeding on folk that didn't hurt her. You know what I mean? She getting those band-aids, she's getting that ointment, she doing what she got to do to get it right. So let's talk a little bit about that. One of the original themes of the show was insecurities. So Queen, do me a favor, tell me a little bit about where you are on your journey in terms of your insecurities, and I guess you could say where the climb came in. Like where I know you're becoming too. Like you know, a lot of us think we're all together, but we all becoming. Where are you on your journey in terms of your insecurities?
I appreciate that. I knew this question was coming, and honestly, I was like, what's my problem? Look, that's a lot of dissonance if you don't know what your problem is, but I spent some time reflecting about it, and I started to think precisely about that, like, where did I come from? One of the things that people ask me about a lot is, like, how can you talk in front of so many people? I couldn't do that. I was really, really insecure about my voice. My voice was so soft that my mother couldn't hear me, and she used to scream, I cannot hear you! And I was like, I can hear me, so what's the problem? So I had a really, really soft voice, but that soft voice was really about feeling like I was not enough for that space. Like, why do people need to hear me? Why would they even be listening to me? You know, trying to validate my own thoughts in my own mind. And so I had the softest voice. Okay, y'all say happy birthday. Say it, just say it, go ahead.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. So I'm 50 this year. In less than a month, right? And so I had some time to develop a voice. But 20 years old, 25 years old, 30 years old, I still didn't have a voice. And I remember in undergrad, one of my friends took one of my poems and he wrote a stanza for it, and I was good being on the page. And then he went, unbeknownst to me, and gave it to somebody at the university, and they invited us to come and speak in front of all these people. I was like, I cannot do that. Are you crazy? I was just like, no, I'm not doing it. But we did it, and he sounded amazing, and I had a long way to go. So that's one of the things. And another thing that I thought about was how, you know, not having a voice is because am I good enough? Do I look good enough? Doing my, you know, all the body things. You know, I used to be very, very super thin, right? Because, you know, you're 10, 12, 15.
Come on, talk about it.
10 to 15, like, really like stick. And then, you know, that wasn't enough, right? And then all of a sudden I had like, you know, I needed a bigger bra. Like every, bigger bra. And I was like, then I didn't like that because I didn't want people to see me. Like, really, when you want people to see you, then when they see you, you don't want them to see you. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Right. So then that was a problem. And then suddenly I got hips, and I was like, oh. And my grandmother, I'm so glad I wasn't stuck on things. She used to say, oh, I seen you gain some weight. Don't gain no more. I see her a little bit later and she say, oh, I see you lost some weight. Don't lose no more. Come on. So, can you imagine? Now, first of all, women's bodies fluctuate all month long. You're not the same size as you was this morning. Right, by the end of the day, you're popping the thing open. And so body insecurities is an issue as well, right? And so because of what other people think about their body, if I say out loud, oh, I'm working on fill in the blank. You seen that?
Yeah.
You can't really win. So just be happy.
Amen. Be happy. I like that. Before I answer, I'm about to bring the next somebody to the stage. Once they finish their text message, I got it. You guys, this is the infamous Lady Odom. She is my mentor, and she is coming to the stage right now. Right now. Yes, she is. Give her a round of applause. She did good. Who am I good?
Look, I'm holding this like I can save you if you
Remember, you signed up. Check your mic. That's the opposite way of how. Okay, there we go. Listen, we're talking about insecurities right now. We're talking about how, in order to address your best version of yourself, We want to hit on some of those worst versions of yourself. And we're starting with insecurities. I'll give you some time to gather your thoughts. I'll talk a little bit about mine. When you talk about voice, Queen, that's interesting. I'll tell you a story about voice. I've been doing poetry since I was a little one, right? But the thing about it is, I never really liked my voice. So as you know, I started the podcast with Patricia, but when Patricia left, I started interviewing people like nobody's business, okay? Because I want to hear your voice, and I don't want you to hear mine. Mm-hmm. And I didn't like my voice. I wasn't, T.D. Jakes said that everybody in the room sees everybody in the room except for themselves. Mm-hmm. Wow. Nice. And I think that you can tell me I'm great until you blue in the face. But till I look in the mirror and say it to myself, it don't mean anything. And I found my voice. So as I journey with insecurities concerning my voice, that was a big journey because my voice wasn't good enough, in my opinion. Aside from that, of course, body image. Come on, somebody. Like, I was a stick. I thought I would always be a stick. That was the assignment, and I was supposed to fulfill it. But apparently, you got little boys and little girls, and somebody need to come get these two kids. Okay? I come from the same kind of family. That loud, and when you get older, it's a certain age range. Like, they get to say whatever they want to say. Like, all right, grandma. All right. You walk away, like, when she leaves, I'm gonna be talking again. But it's always one of those things, like, you don't get stuck. We were just having this conversation like a week ago, literally, with my sister. She'll tell you, you ain't got no thick skin, you're gonna get thick skin from the family. If you don't, you're doing something's going wrong. They raised you with thick skin. So for me, it's just like, oh, okay, cool, cool. But you fat too. But nonetheless, I say that to say that, these journeys are, I feel like healing in general, even if it's with insecurities, because one of the quotes from the book is that insecurities are not necessarily a fate, this end game. It can be motivation. But I find that we find a bed, a pillow, and a cover for our insecurities. And we tuck ourselves in and go to sleep, and that's a problem. And I just want to differentiate how insecurities can work for your good, but do not get secure in your insecurities. So Lady O, talk to us a little bit.
I don't know, when I think about insecurity, we're talking about anxiousness, we're talking about not feeling as confident as women. And we could talk about the weight gain. I'm not going to do that at 57 going through these challenges. I'm not going to do it, because then I'll start crying for no reason. I'll try to keep that under wraps. But I too went through that, and the thing with the grandparent that says, my grandmother was brutally honest, but then my first lady, Lady Hazel Page, she said the exact thing you said. You gain a little weight, you look good, don't gain no more. I saw her a couple of months ago. You gain some weight, don't gain no more. And it's not more, it's more. Don't gain no more. And so, I learned to, because it's coming from her, you laugh, but you feel away a little bit. Like, and then I'm saying to my husband, I need to lose weight. He's like, no, I said, nah, she was telling me the truth. She's going to tell me the truth, right? So I got to working through it. But if I go back to early years in my life, I think about when I was in ministry, growing up in church, and my mother wasn't there. Everybody's parent was there. And I would feel insecure a little bit. I would feel not as confident because I didn't have anyone cheering me, right? So when I had come to understand the kind of anointing that I had on my life, it got easier. But when I did not understand it, I kind of felt left out there. So when I came to understand purpose, and it got better, but in those early years, I didn't feel as confident. I was always anxious. So this is normally anxiety for me. is when I feel the least insecure, is when I'm up before people, because mainly in ministry, not so much a regular platform, but mainly in ministry, because I always want to be saying what God would have me to say. And so I would get insecure in the fact that what if I'm not meeting the expectation? Because people have an expectation of you. And so you'll get up and you're like, am I going to meet this expectation? Until my pastor husband said to me, as long, it's the way that they talk to you when they talking to you firmly, and or when it's, oh, babe, he was firm. As long as you make this about you, you're going to feel that way. If you keep this about God, you're going to feel a little differently. And so I started adopting that. So do you see me swinging in this chair for no reason?
If you want to swing, listen, swing. I got you swinging here.
Like, what is going on here? So, once I start adopting that, when I would start getting up, of course you got to practice before you get up and assert yourself and go through all these emotions. And then I remember him saying, as long as you make it about you, you're going to feel that way. If you make it about God, it'll get easier. So I've been able to deal with my insecurities in that way by making it about God, because my greatest fear, my greatest insecurity is teaching God's word, because I don't ever want it to be about me. So that's my greatest one outside of the fatness.
Woman, day to day, right? So we spoke about, I guess you kind of touched upon it, who you are and how that affects your ability to deal with your insecurity, because you're killing expectations on a regular basis. You're known as someone, specifically. So how do you manage who people expect you to be versus who you believe you are and will show up as regardless? How do you kind of manage that?
Yeah, that's not manageable. And the reason why I say that is because that talks about the minds of people. We don't really have any control over the minds of the people.
Right.
The minds of the people can change at any moment. Right? The expectation they have in the morning, might be different by the time they see me. Mm-hmm. And so I like to approach things like it has to be the best thing, it has to be the best way possible. And I use this word, it has to be excellent. It has to be excellent. Whatever we're doing, it has to be excellent. It has to be sustainable. It has to be, if we're not here, it can still be done. That's the way I approach things. And that, people don't always want things to be excellent. They just want it to be done. They just want it to be good enough. We can just do it. I'm like, no. If we can't do it well, we should not do that. And that's not the culture for everybody. And so when I walk into a space, people are expecting what they got last time, which I pray was excellent. And so that's not easy to do. Very oftentimes, I'll give you an example. Someone in Korea asked me to submit something to their festival, right? The Korean festival. And I was like, okay. And I already knew no matter what I sent, it was going to be published. It didn't matter what I wrote. So then that put a lot of pressure on me, because it had to, in my mind, it had to be the excellence that made them send the invitation. And so I'm always competing with me.
Do you feel like, I say that I'm a recovering perfectionist. I ain't there yet. Recovery is a process, right? Where are you on your perfectionist scale?
Oh, it's in the process. But look, I'm being a student again, right? And so I'm doing PhD studies. And I gotta tell you, look, when I'm doing the work and I submit it, if I get anything less than all the points, I got a whole problem. I got a whole problem. I'm like, look, we need to write a letter. I'm calling this guy like, we need to talk about this. There was 10 possible points. You gave me 9.7. Why? What's the point 3? Right? And one of the professors said, no, I think that was good. And I was like, well, we think differently. And so, I got some issues.
What about you, Lady O?
How do I manage?
Manage, I guess, other people's expectations of you while still attempting to show up as you.
Well, for me, I think it's more about, and I don't want to sound overly spiritual, but it's my life.
You are.
I pray specific for deficiencies in my life. I'm prayer specific about anything that does not allow me to be. So because we are women and we're constantly vacillating in emotion. So if I have this, if I'm going to enter in a place like now, right? And you come in, oh, who is Lady O? So you have people that may know me, may know of me, but don't necessarily know me. So there's an expectation because you have an expectation of who you think I am and you don't really know me, right? So we tend to judge people based on either what you've heard or what you see. And so then sometimes what's the term? Oh, the streets be talking. And so the church streets be talking. And so then so you may have this persona, all right, and you can very well be confident in the woman that you are, but you just need to hear something that not who you are, to its entirety or the truth of what it is. So then that's when, for me, earlier on, I would vacillate in emotion, feeling like I need to make up for what you think or not think about me. Until I got sober. So I started praying for sobriety.
I like that.
Because in order for me to be my best self, I need to be sober in my thought process. So meaning my thought process would mean that I'm not thinking about what you're thinking about me. This is why I need to be sober in my thought process. So that is how I begin to manage. And because I'm in and out, like now I just left the spa. It's not a plug, I'm just saying. I just left. I had a yoni party. And so I just had a whole party of women. So you know what that's like, right? So I got to get dressed at the spa. They getting dressed for a party, And as I'm walking out, I see one woman in particular. She's watching me. And so I used to be concerned, like, what does that look about? Not so much anymore. My husband said something last week. He said, I'm going to mind my business regarding what people think about me.
That's good.
I'm going to mind my business. And so when the Lord gives him that stuff, it kind of reignites something in me, because if we're not very careful as women, we'll get swallowed up. We'll start defending thoughts in other people's head. So can I tell you, you cannot defend thoughts that are in other people's head? So it's almost like when we get on social media, and I'm going to shut up in 1 second. We get on social media, we think something was said, or we thinking somebody thinking away. And so you're going to make a post based on what you think somebody is thinking. So that's how I manage. I manage in prayer. I'm intentional about my walk with God, because it would be a shame to come this far and allow emotions to up and undo everything God has given and deposited. If we could just be, that's it. Nothing more, nothing less. Just be.
Just be.
Brandon, could you cash app her 50 cents?
Yes, that's
Listen to me. It's funny that you say, personas and how people perceive. I'm going to tell you a story about Lady O.
Oh my God.
So when I met her, originally I had met her, I didn't meet her, I heard about her through Ashley. And Ashley was bragging about her first lady and her pastor. And I was like, they can't be that great. Years later, right? Fast forward years later, so we was at this luncheon brunch situation, and it was 3 pastors there, and I felt like I needed to meet those 3. And I told somebody, I said, you know them? Like, just introduce me and say hi. That's it. You know, I just want to give them a hi. But somebody introduces me with all this, you know, she do poetry, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, oh, you could come to my church and do poetry. I was like, but you had never heard me. Like, I could be trash. Like, legitimately not good. But I came, I did poetry. Boom, fast forward. Maybe a year or so, or two maybe, later, I was going through, I had a miscarriage, and somebody suggested that I talk to Lady O. And I'm like, Lady O, I know who the woman is. She's pretty great, but she probably not my cup of tea. This is real. Can I be real with y'all? We not the same. You know what I mean? Like, we are, this suit is pink, you guys. This for today, though. You know? This is a pink suit. I'm gonna get it clean, and then the next something that's real big, I'm gonna wear it again. And that's it. So, I didn't think we would vibe. If I'm being real with you. Like, when I met Talena, she was a poet, and she was a big deal. But maybe we'll vibe because she do poetry. And we did. The funny thing is about these two ladies particularly, I met Talena 10 years ago. And one of the things that Talena said to me, Jazmine, she said, you're going to go back and get your master's. I'm like, listen, I know you just met me, but I'm not going back to school. I said, I wasn't good at it. I was bare minimum. Like, I barely made it out. I said, what makes you just met me? Get to know me more, and then you'll realize I'm not going back to school. Fast forward, I went back to school. But I say that to say that, you ladies, do you like this cup?
Yes.
I'm gifting both of you guys with this cup because you poured into me, and I want your cups to continue to pour. But when I met Lady O, she wasn't like anyone I would mess with. Like, people be like, who? You said your mentor was again? I was like, don't do that. God works in mysterious ways. I said, don't be that way, y'all. Don't be that way. I have her doing some different stuff now. But you gotta be careful how you perceive a thing. And I say that for this next point, as this quote is one of my favorite quotes. It says, I'm not who I think I am, and I'm not who you think I am. I am who I think you think I am.
Come on.
And I believe his name is, it's in the book, it's Cooley, Dr. Cooley. And it's a quote that came from Jay Shetty. He's a famous coach, influencer. And he was a monk. And he talks a lot about perception. He used that particular quote from Dr. Cooley. And what it's saying is that we are all trapped in a perception of a perception. And that's what Lady O just said. That we will go crazy living for what I think Carlin thinks of me. Like, oh my goodness, like I got too many thoughts. There's too many people in here for me to be trying to, calculate all those thoughts. So what are your thoughts about living in a perception of a perception as it pertains specifically to someone on a road to trying to be a better version of themselves?
If I want you to imagine 3 circles. I'm going to put them inside each other. The first circle is the smallest. The second circle surrounds that one, is larger than that. And then there's a bigger one, the biggest one. That last one is what all of the people, the world, think about who you are, or tell you who you're supposed to be. That's the outermost person, right? Let's think about it again. You're a black woman, then there's perceptions about what black women are. How they speak, how they walk, how they talk, where you can find them. All of that stuff is in that outside circle, right? About what's the expectations of you. And then there's another circle, that's your closest people, your friends, people you're gonna actually run into, what they think you should be. She's the one that's gonna be in charge of making the schedule. She's gonna be the one who is most likely to act up. She's gonna be, the reputation with your family and your friends, that's the one. And the one in the middle, that circle is who you really are. that one. The rest of them don't really matter. They have a huge influence on you, right? And when I draw this out for folks, I make a pie cut in your mind, a pie cut from the outside to the inside. That point in the middle is in the circle. That's the place you have to really get through. You have to cut through all of that other stuff to really understand who you are. Now, remember I said my grandmother said, you gain some weight, don't gain no more, right? You have that voice as well. Those people are really very influential. Your teachers are really very influential. That person who just cut you off in traffic for that moment was really very influential, right? But those moments are not really who you are. But they influence you. So that inner circle you has to be able to discern from the influence from the reality. And that's not easy to do. Because you believe your mother when she told you stuff. Even when she was yelling that stuff like, you act just like your father, but do you? Right? And which part of him was she talking about? The part that helped make you, or the part the part she didn't like? Like, what's she talking about? Right? So all of those things are really important. So I don't know if I got the question, but the inside you is the most important part. And she's really hard to find.
What about you, Lady O? The question was. So the quote was, I'm not who I think I am. I'm not who you think I am. But I am who I think you think I am. So in living in a perception of a perception, how do you, I guess you could say, manage not doing that?
I guess to the point of what I said earlier.
Yeah, you did answer this question.
Yeah, I no longer do that. I had a conversation with the women in my ministry the other day, and I said, Talena said something about reality versus, influences. And I'm a person who, I love people. And sometimes to a fault. I just love people. And so one day I had to kind of, please don't let me fall out this chair.
I'm on chair duty.
The other day I was talking to them, and I was talking about how it's not our intention sometimes to set out to be people pleasers. When you are first ladies and things like that, or pastors' children, and you're forever in this light of expectation. And if you're not careful, you get lost in that if you're not true to who you are. And so I was having a conversation with them about how I love people and how I would do certain things because I wouldn't want someone to think that I was a certain way. Until I started questioning myself, why though? Why do I do that? Why do I overextend so someone else is comfortable and yet I'm uncomfortable?
I love it.
Why do I do that? What about me feels the need to have that validation? And so as I talked about it, and I said, so this is me wanting people to know, because I know in my heart I'm nice. You got people who low-key mean. You have people who low-key nasty.
Yes.
I'm not low-key mean or nasty. So when I see low-key, you get that discernment and you see who people really are different in certain settings. That cook, when it cooks my goose, it cooks my goose. So I'm constantly in prayer about me. Because I'm not always right either. I talked about the emotions vacillating. And so I said to them, why do I do that? And as I started thinking about it, I said, I do that because I don't want anybody to misperceive who I am. Based on what someone else has said. and you never got the chance to know me, and so I feel away. Well, I no longer feel away, but once I got,
Come on.
I would never not care. Let me say that. We should never, as women of God, sober women, get to the point that you don't care. It should not affect you from or change you from being who you are, unless you're changing for the better, right? And so, with that said, I said that to them, and I had to go back and say, why do I do that? So if you find yourself overextending, why? Why? And then once you realize why, then ask God to help you to stop doing that, because it's not beneficial and it's not you being your authentic self. And then it yields and it broods and it brings on other stuff. Hence the eat, don't compete. It invites all that other stuff in when you are vacillating in your emotions and not sure about, or you're trying to, again, fight battles on other people's head. You cannot do that. You can't do it.
That's real good. So, I guess for me, when it comes to, I guess the Holy Ghost gotta help me when it comes to not caring. Because the older I get and then having these children and stuff, somebody please come get these kids. I think that it helps I don't care. I don't have time to care. And, but when it comes to like other people's perceptions of me, like, okay, I'll give you an example. A couple of Sundays ago, was it last Sunday? I gave away my shoes because they were not comfortable on my feet. I don't care how I looked after. I had a couple of flip-flops. I looked a mess, let's be clear. I was not looking like this. I wasn't put together. But my comfort mattered more to me, so I did not care about what the aftermath was. You gotta pay me to care. Like, you know what I mean? Like the things in which I do care about, you know, but I do agree with you as it pertains to when you get so stretched out of not caring, it might just get bad for the other side, you know. So he gonna work on me. He gonna work on me with that. So I'm gonna start caring some more. I'm gonna work, you know, I'll let you know next year how it's and I don't know, I don't see it happening, but you know God closer to me, so it's gonna go this year. I'm gonna work on that. But so that the first part we talked about was about the first part of the book, which is about fighting. The book is into 4 different parts. The first part is fighting. There are things in which we need to fight in order to move to learning and things of that nature. So I want to talk a little bit. So the book in a nutshell is about journeying, and we're always on a journey. But I want to talk a little bit about purpose. If somebody is in this audience right now that I don't care if they're 21 or 61, and they have no idea how to reach purpose. Because I'm not sure which one, I think it was you, Queen, talked about being your authentic self. Some people, man, woman, boy, girl, have absolutely no idea what that's like. Because even if we talk about church, we've walked through life with the perception of the man of God and what he told me I was supposed to be. Yep. So if you have no idea who you're supposed to be, or how do you advise someone on getting that or grasping that sense of purpose? Then, you know what? Let me start there, and then I'll flush it back to you guys. I feel like sometimes life, social media, things like that, mistakes us to think that purpose looks like, see, Seaside Heights was good. It was a good little vacation until old girl went to Hawaii. You know what? You could have took me to Hawaii. We broke. You know, it was good until that's not your journey. That's not your stuff. You're not there yet. It was. I think that life is not necessarily reality most times. You know, you ever see those memes that said this is what I bought versus the reality, you know, because if you get that Shein dress, you better try it on. Don't. It ain't this ain't for church. This is for the other night, the drunk board, you know. This ain't, you know, I'm just saying. So I think that it has warped our perception of what things are actually supposed to be. So we're reaching for stars that were never even supposed to be ours because we were never. I think that my generation, the older ones in the millennial, are in between there was an internet and there wasn't. Like we were Nextel, you know, flip the razor, you know, phone. We were right in between because, you know, we could shut it off. So we knew what it wasn't, you know, and then we know what it is like. But the one after, in my opinion, has a very hard time turning it off. Because we often in our family take social media breaks. Because the reality of it is, you might begin to compare. Yeah. I don't care what your age is, what your religion is, what you'll be like, those shoes is really not, you know, what the bottom is red. That ain't your price range, love. That play your game. But I feel like we reach so far sometimes for things that were never ours because we didn't stay in ours. We didn't push for what felt right in our souls at that moment because we were too busy seeing every single thing. So that's my little small piece. What do you let's start with you, Lady. Oh, my bad. I spoke you off guard.
So the question is.
The question is purpose. When we're talking about purpose, if someone is in this audience right now and has absolutely no idea how to grasp purpose, what would be your advice on how? Because I think that sometimes people talk about it, that, you know, I did a thing that was great and I did it, but no one ever tells you how.
It's so funny because we all arrive at it at different times and different speeds because we don't know. I can only go based on what my experience has been being saved very young, and being saved didn't mean I understood purpose, right? And so I think I understand it better now than I ever did, even in, because then our purposes serve different things. So like, you know, purpose, ministry, you have that business owner, purpose. What am I called to do and how effective am I at that? And so someone asked me a question about how would I define, you know, being in my purpose, but how do I define success as a result of it? And I said, when I see my purpose being effective in the lives of the people that I serve, then I understand that I am in purpose because it is yielding fruit, is being effective in the lives of the people that I serve. And so because I am in service, even outside of ministry, how am I affecting the women who are attached to me? What am I bringing into their lives? Am I effective or am I infectious in a bad way? Because we can be infectious in a bad way, even as a leader. So then that's a part of my purpose. When I see the women that I'm attached to able to soar as a result of who I am, then I feel like I'm in purpose, and not with any gain per se. Purpose doesn't necessarily come with dollar bills, right? And so that has its place when I think about my ministry, not my ministry, but I think about my business, having a client whose life is better affected by wellness. I'm excited more about that than the $100 or tip that I may get, because then I see that my influence is effective. So with that being said, now being in full purpose and seeing the results, but I'm 57. At 27, I can't say I fully knew what it was, because I had 3 children, learning how to be a wife and all that kind of stuff. And so I just really, and again, not trying to be over spiritual, but all of you know Jesus, right? And so I really just sought the Lord. When I went to college for accounting. I never liked going to anyone's job, I'm just gonna be honest. I was never a morning person. Now that I am in my purpose, it gives me great joy to get up at 6, 7 and prepare for what it is that I'm doing. So for those of you who are not sure, just seek the Lord on what it is and then be willing. And Jazmine made a good point about we'll look at things. We know that comparison kills, right?
Yeah.
So we'll feel that if you could do it, I can do it. That's not necessarily so, right? You open a business, I can open a business. Oh, you do portrait, I can do portrait. And sometimes it's just really not that you want to do it. You just want the accolades or the rah that the people are getting. That's really what that's about. You want to feel significant because you're feeling insignificant. So we tend to validate ourselves by the applause and the likes when all actuality, none of it is really real. So if you purpose, really just seek the Lord on it, whoever you serve will accept seeing. Ask the Lord. Ask the Lord. I'm sorry. Ask the Lord.
You haven't been overly spiritual yet.
Ask the Lord for direction. He said if you acknowledge him in all your ways. When you get up and you're uncertain, ask. You know, I asked God for the simplest thing. I felt like I was in purpose. I was working on this job, and I hated to get up. So I asked God for the spirit of discipline. You know, we ask him for cars, money, and all that, but ask him for the matters of your soul and the things of the heart. He's a God of that stuff too. So I found my purpose in my submission. I found my purpose in my submission because I want to do other stuff. And he's saying no, because when we in purpose, our purpose yield good fruit and it's effective. If you are causing a shipwreck, chances are you are not in purpose. Not to say that trouble is, is inevitable. Challenges are inevitable. It does not mean you're not in purpose when you start getting challenges. It means you are on the right track. But ask the Lord for what it is that you should be doing, not what you want to do. Because a lot of us do what we want to do and not what we should do. And that's why you're not seeing a return on what it is that you're doing.
That's real.
All the facts are present. It's hard to add to that. The question, how do people find their purpose? So Jazmine talked about me doing Her Best Self, which is a mentoring program for young women, and that question is essential in that work. You know, I don't want to have a girls program where everybody's learning how to be queen. That's not right. Right? We don't all need to be having gloves on and the little. That's not all women. That's not right. And so, what we want to do though is have these folks develop in their purpose. So now I'm talking to somebody who's 13 years old. They're like, but what am I supposed to do? Remember, they have all of those voices, right? Their community, their parents, their world, they're looking in Vogue or Cosmo or whoever that says what a girl should wear or what kind of, they're looking at the scales that the doctors have about, come on, black women, how tall you're supposed to be at what height and this kind of thing.
That's right.
You can't find your purpose there. So I do this exercise now. Raise your hand if you like chocolate. Oh, I love it. And there's some people who don't. It is right. For you imagine whatever thing you put in your mouth that makes you close your eyes. Right? Tacos. So there's some taco people, and the chocolate people really understand, right? You got this piece, and you put it in your mouth, and you're like, That's what your purpose feels like. You know your purpose when you're like, You would do it for free. You do it when you're not even, you're supposed to be doing something else, but you're doing this. Right? You got to go to work, but your work might not be in your purpose, and it seems like your work is in the way of what you really want to do. Right? That's what purpose feels like. That's how you know you're there. Now, how you find it? You're already doing it. You already have a tendency toward it because you can't help it. You're doing it at times. Any little moment you have that is not that whole list. That's my sound of the list. That whole long list. Whatever you're doing in that moment, when that list is not going on, that's probably your purpose. Because you're going to be doing it naturally. There's a woman who she works wherever she works. I don't even know where she works, but whenever she's not working, she's catering. How do you have time to cater? But it was me. I called her the last minute and I said, look, I'm having some girlfriends over. They're coming from Washington. They're coming from New York. And we just want to get together. And I heard you were a caterer. It's the last minute, but this is what we need. She said, I will do it. Well, listen, girl came through, right? And she had to do it after work and before work. And she works overnight. How is she doing this? And when she's not at work, she's cooking. That's in her purpose. And I want to tell you, we were blessed with what she prepared. It was amazing. The presentation was amazing. That's probably her purpose. That other work that she's doing at a group home or wherever she's doing, like that pays the bills. But it's not in her purpose. Because this thing is chocolate for her. Or tacos.
That's so funny what you just, the analogy you just given. I was talking to someone last week, we was having a women's fellowship, and she was saying about how much she didn't like her job. And she was almost in tears, like it pained her. And so I said to her, I said, well, what is it that you really want to do? And so she's telling me what she wanted to do. I said, so don't quit the job yet. Because, don't quit the job yet. Start doing that on the side. That's going to feed you, right? Because we all as women need fulfillment. Personal fulfillment, right? It's not enough just to take care of kids and stuff like that. There's a purpose for which you are here, and you need personal fulfillment. So she was saying how much she hated it. So by the time we finished talking, I'm like, do that on the side. You could practice with us, right? And we're going to help you get the courage to get out there and do. Then once that start doing what it needs to do, then you scale back from the job, leave in a right fashion. I said, because right now, again, you're being emotional, and you're going to quit. God is not foolish, and he's a God of order, right? And if you do not have the capacity to take leaps, don't do them. Now, we can say, take the leap. I'm that person, right? If the Lord tell me to do it, I'm going to do it. I don't have to have $1 to do it. I'm going to do it. I believe that when I get out there, there's sustenance right there. And that's just my story. So I'm saying to her, I know she didn't have the capacity to do that. I said, so start it on the side. Because you're not happy. And if you're in something and you're just terribly unhappy, you need to revisit it. And if you don't have enough courage to take the leap, then you start it on the side, cooking or whatever have you. But make sure it's something that you love to do, because if you love to do it, you're going to do the best at it. Not doing it because you think it's going to give you some money. Because when you're in purpose, it's really not about the money. When you're in purpose, money comes. It comes. If you're willing and obedient,
And this sister, so much in her purpose, she charged us a price that we thought was
right.
Like, why you charge us this
Because
amount?
she loves what she does.
We gave her a tip that was twice the amount. And I said, did you get the cash out? She said, thank you for the tip. She didn't want to take it. But the cash app, you don't have to struggle with putting it in the hand. Right. You just push the button, and then it just shows up. And so, look for that. Look for that. That's what we're. That's the purpose. Yes.
Just in case you didn't know. Tacos. This is my tacos. This is my purpose. So, we talked about purpose. We talked about the things in which we need to fight. I think that in the spirit of eating and not competing, eating meaning come together, right? Come together with your sister. Come together with your brother, that we are stronger together than we are apart. That there was a quote, and it was in the earlier years, the first season of Eat, Don't Compete. and this quote has stuck with us from the beginning, and it says, I have not arrived,
Okay.
yet I am not late. And it is a reminder for me, okay? Because, you know, people be out here having successful events, you know what I'm saying? And I'll be looking like, oh, okay, y'all cute. You know, like, because I'm human too. I'm out, my skin, if you scratch me, I'm going to bleed too. I might hit you back. So, in thinking about having not arrived at this place, right? Because sometimes we at that early stage of understanding our purpose, right? But this differentiation to kill the comparison, not to just fight off comparison a little bit, to actually kill it, because unless you use it as motivation, right? But that is a thin line. It's hard to do that. Most people cannot use it as motivation, so sometimes you gotta kill it. If you can't use it as motivation, there's no in between. You either with me or against me. So this idea of not arriving, we've used it as affirmation, because if I don't tell myself a thing, it don't matter. Like I said earlier, what you're saying. I have not arrived yet. I am not late. Is there anything in your lives that you feel that way about? You have to keep yourself on this humbling, balancing scale about?
Right, so Lady O and I are 50 plus. So, pardon me for speaking for you. I think it's takes a little longer to answer this question. So my children are not small. So we have an empty nest at home. And I remember probably 10 plus years ago, I was like, I already did everything I wanted to do. I got to think of more stuff to do. Now, we came from, I grew up in Paterson, and my mother was 14 when I was born. So we didn't have luxury, right? Because how can you give luxury? And, you know, we're Black enslavement descendants. We don't have generational wealth to lean on either, right? So, you know, we start from, Chief Moody says, step -1. We gotta get to the top of the hole first, and then we can build on, right? Which is good and not good, right? Depending on how you imagine. So when I was very young, single digits, come on y'all. When you're in the single digits, you draw me. I drew up pictures of houses. I lived in the hood. We didn't have that stuff. I don't even know where those visions came from. And I knew I wanted to be married. I knew I wanted to be a teacher. I knew I wanted to have children. Of course, when I was 9, 10, 11, right? When you start thinking about who you're going to be. When I was thinking about who I was going to be when I grew up, I want to be a wife, and I want to be a mother, and I want to have a house that was not too big because I want to be able to clean it myself. Right? Don't ask me why I'm specific. But I'm very specific. Now look, we're going to talk about that later. So then, I went to college, I got married, I had some children, and then, we're going to talk about marriages too. So, and then, that's what I wanted to do. I'm a teacher, and I was like, oh, so now, I'm still here, so I got to think of some other stuff to do. And that's a big accomplishment coming from step -1, right? And so so my father was 17. What is he providing at 17? And not only that, he was a heroin. He was addicted to heroin. So he was one of those people who was probably knocking on your window asking for a change. He wasn't giving me anything. His first love, he told me, he said, my first love was you. But I was immediately erased for heroin. That's a very powerful love. So now, statistically, I was never supposed to finish college. statistically, you have a teenage parent, you have one parent who's addicted to a substance, if you grow up in a certain neighborhood, all of those things, I wasn't supposed to do anything statistically. So when you talk about, you and I talked years ago about breaking generational curses, right? So I knew that if I was a successful parent, meaning letting those people, being a facilitator of those people's purpose, then, and also setting my own, fulfilling my own purpose, that whatever I did would propel them, because I understood generational wealth. That's not just cash and assets, it's also about habit and personal development and etc. So I have 4 children. They all went to college, right? Well, there was one he's on his way, right? But they wouldn't have done that if I wasn't first in my family. And so for me, it's like, what do I accomplish? What do I accomplish has to be like reinvented all the time. And so now I'm thinking, well, I want to make this nonprofit, or this work, this purpose, known to everyone. I want it to live beyond my lifetime. I'm thinking about things in legacy ways. How do we now leave? How do we create a generational wealth? I don't have that figured out, by the way, but it's a new thing to accomplish, because I did the things I wanted to do already. And I don't know that probably, I'm guessing, I'm going to finish this, I'm going to think of something else to do. Right? You said like, oh God, I'm still here. What's the assignment? Okay. Yeah. And a part of that is being a very good listener. Being a good listener to what God asks you to do. You may not want to do it. Sometimes I'm like, oh my God, why do you want me to do that? And then, I'm glad that was empty. Oh, why do you want me to do that? But I understand the consequences for not being obedient. Yeah. And so we just do that. So, all right, radio.
I was about to say, I read you. I'm into it. So you guys, so we wrapping up the conversation, and I just wanted to know if you have any lasting thoughts for the audience concerning, like.
I am Jazmine Monique of House DeWees. You can clap right there, go ahead. First of her name, partner, wife, and friend of Brandon, the Great. Mother of 2, Joy and True.
Yes, it's a person. That's why I don't write cursive.
All right. Look, that looks like that's a font. I got you. But good. Joy and Drew. Curator of words, passionate, purpose, pusher, prolific poet, rocker of dope kicks, breaker of generational curses, lover of locks, eater of ramen, finesser of fine dining, magnetic mentor, captivating coach, queen of DeWees Kingdom. So there's a lot of great examples in here. And for me, that piece right there was like, that's a beautiful amount of confidence.
Yeah.
And to put things, well, she's a poet, but to put things in such a way that it just sounds like, yeah, look, you're clapping because I told you to, but you really wanted to. Right? And it's so beautiful. So I think finding purpose, when you're looking at this book, don't just put it on the shelf, spend some time with it. Get a second copy so you can gift it to someone. And if she runs out today, then you can get it on Amazon. That's where I got mine. I got the hard copy, jealous, yes. So you can use it as example. One of the things I like about this text is that it's in plain language. She says, like, so, you know, you can just hear her voice, which I like, actually. And I think it's a beautiful gift to you in being able to see, like, what's this journeying look like? Don't copy the journey, but understand that if there's an example, then that means it's possible for you, right? So in this is a very good example of journeying in a very good way. So that's what I got to say.
I want to say first that, Jazmine, I'm so proud of you. You heard the story she was trying to say about when she first met me. 5 years ago, and to sit here and share in what we've discussed, I'm proud.
Yes, that's good.
So then that for me, when you talk about purpose, right, and then see, you know, she has a pastor, she has other mentors and things like that, but whatever role I was to play, I'm happy that I played that.
Yes.
To get to witness this moment for you,
Yes.
it was just a conversation. So I just wanted to say that, you know, in order for us to become or to be who we're supposed to be, we have to be honest first about what we are not.
That's it.
Own what you are not. Be okay with that and build upon what it is you're trying to become. Sometimes it gets really gray because we don't want to own what we are not. Any deficiency God can fulfill and fix and, you know, turn over and give you a do-over and all, but you got to be honest about who you are and what you're not, and then allow the fullness of your life to come to fruition. And so oftentimes I have, you know, spoken to Jazz and listened to Jazz and listened to Jazz.
I tell my business to these people. I don't know anybody.
And to see her, I mean, pre-joy. Pre-joy. So sometimes when we talk, I'm almost in tears at the manifested glory of God. Understanding that He allowed me to be a part of this journey.
Wow.
So keep it coming.
I'm still a thug. Don't make me try to speak.
Keep coming. And you have no reason at all to compete. You have no reason at all to feel inadequate. You have no reason at all to compare to anyone, because you have just what you need to become all that you need to be. You know that sometimes we admire people when we look at people, we admire them. I think you said something earlier about if you're going to use that as motivation, that's one thing. There's a very thin line between admiration and envy.
Yes. That's good. Talk
It's a
about
very, very thin line between admiration and envy. So just be very, very careful as you are becoming. First, repent and turn away from the things that you know are not yielding or bringing goodness to your life.
Yes.
Repent to turn away from it. Repent means to turn, never to return again. And then you can reap the fullness of God. Because when you're not in obedience, you know, you go through stuff you don't have to go through.
That's
If
right.
you would just submit your purpose, your will to God, and it comes together. So I love you, so proud of you. So thank you.
So, 10 years ago, this is it. This is my last little Oprah moment. Okay. 10 years ago, probably September would be to the date. I launched out. I wasn't even called EWP, with some other stuff. And I had an event, and Sherry was the host, and Jazmine was on the panel, and Patty was in the group, but no one showed up. Not a soul showed up. And I remember probably like years and years in a row, Sherry and Arlene, who's moved to Georgia, kept asking me to do it again. I'm like, child, listen. Got a reputation in these streets and it ain't looking good. But I say that to say, when it's your time, it's your time.
That's right. That's right.
Thank you guys. You have just tuned into another episode of Eat With Her, Don't Compete With Her. And I'm your host, Jazz.
I'm just gonna get it.